Welcome to DLC Podcast, Episode 6, 2019's Grimm's New Year Resolution. And as you can see, everything is breaking upon the seams as we can, as the world colliding here. I think the reason why everything's breaking the fuck out is because I have not updated this stream service, so now the whole world's against me now. I think that's why everything's breaking on the seams. But with this going on, I might as well see if my co-hosts wants to come on and help me in regards to this. Otherwise than that, enjoy my little rambling of sorts. So, I hope you guys got to see the, what do you call it? The end of the year review thing that I just recently posted up. This is not talking to the people who are watching the stream, by the way. This is just more so the people who are listening to this, because this is supposed to be like podcast of sorts, so just ignore that. Yeah, what the fuck? This whole thing just breaks up upon the seams. So, while I get stuff going here, let's go ahead and talk about this year in review. Now then. This whole year has been somewhat interesting, to say the least. And I think one of the biggest problems I had was more so... Oh, it's still not working. Okay, so we're just gonna have this be like this for now, so that kind of sucks. Unless I can paste... No. Alright, so I guess I'm gonna have to do it some other weird way. So... What a great comeback, eh? It's been how many years? I mean, fuck. It's been a few months since I did the DLC podcast, and I think the last one was kind of like not even a podcast of sorts, but I made it into one, and that was my rants on Nintendo Online. This year has been really interesting, to say the least. I think there's been this board of just hold on with me of this train of thought. There's a board of people who every year give out a certain word for what the year represents. 2016, the year was emoji. That was that year's representation. This year's representation is toxic. And I can 100% agree, toxic is definitely the number one problem of this society. But with the toxic out of the way, let's talk about this year in games. So let's go on from the beginning to end. So bear with me as I try to recall everything that happened. So let's start off with January. Well, let's see what happened in January. Well, shit. It's been in fucking January and I can't even remember it. Oh no, this is not going to end well. Alright, hold on, Grim. Just search yourself up on YouTube's. Then you'll remember and go, oh, I remember everything. I'm smart. Yeah, let me recall everything up the top of my head. Alright, so let's start off with the first thing, which was like a quick little test preview. I got some new gadgets, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's see this cool stuff I got here. So I ended up streaming ARMS for the final time. Oh, remember ARMS? Remember that game? Remember that was one of the games that came with the Nintendo Switch, and now no one fucking talks about it? Yeah, small world. I wonder why that became the case. Who knows? I do, actually, but I'm not going to say anything. Alright, besides that, let's talk about the game that won third place, and that was Conker's Bad Fur Day. Oh my fucking god. That was one of those games where I grew up with, and I remember recalling it. It's like one of those moments where you're playing a game, and then you're like, oh, I remember this. This was like fun when I was a kid. And for me, I got stuck at the Ooga Booga stage. That's what they're calling it, I think. The caveman stage. I was stuck there. And good thing I was stuck there, because I ended up just enjoying the bits that was supposed to be enjoying. Because after that, it was fucking awful. It was god awful. Like, oh, sweet Jesus, was it bad. But, yeah, it wasn't the case at all. So after that, I decided to hold off from being pissed off, and I moved and did a Valentine's Day special, which was Doki Doki Literacy Club, which ended up getting an honor place in number 9 as being the meta game gone too far. For some reason, as of right now, that is the most viewed clip on my channel, and I think the reason why it's so viewed is because of the fucking picture. I swear. I mean, it's like you see anime titties and it's like media clicks. I think that's why. I don't think it's because of my entertainment value. That's for sure. But yeah, I honestly felt that the Doki Doki, I have not finished the game. I only did one part and then that was it. I was going to probably complete or continue it, but I'm not 100% sure when I will do that or if I want to do that. The thing what I'm going to be talking about coming in near the end of this is that one of my New Year's resolutions is I'll be only completing games and playing games that I feel like will be most entertaining. So if for some reason I stop playing a game and I'm not interested anymore, then that's it. Then I move on. And the reason for that is because I feel like being stuck on something that I don't want to play ends up becoming low in quality and then it just starts to suck, which is not good for anybody to watch, including me. But that being said, sometimes games that I force myself to play and ends up being crappy ends up turning to be actually good content, like the Elmo highlight reel that I did recently with the letter and number journey. I thought that was a failure, but looking past it again, I ended up realizing that it was actually quite funny to the point where I ended up clipping it and I put it on my highlights, so that was quite fun. I think moving forward, whenever I do videos, whenever I do streaming videos, I am going to, once I'm done it, look at the view clips, clip on some things that were fun, and then what I'll do is once I clip it onto Twitch as an archive thing, I will then kind of just save it. Save one video file, which is just basically all the clips together, so it'll make it easier for next year, 2019 year in review, to be something along those lines. The other interesting thing about this whole ordeal is the fact that, for the most part, 2018 hasn't been that bad when it comes to some games I played. A lot of mainstream games, I would say the least, except for, some of the indie games, like our number 1 pick being A Hat in Time. Oh boy. Most of the highlighted clips actually came in September, but I'll talk about that. So I'll talk about what happened in each year so each month. So in A Hat in Time, I looked basically at just the main game, some bonus content, as well as the first part of the mod. I think when I first looked at the mod, it wasn't officially released. I think it was officially released sometime in the middle of May, I think. I might be mistaken, but I know it was sometime around April. I think that's when they officially released it. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game. It was really a cute as heck game, and I feel like because of the way they did their content and had everything kind of coming together, certainly was really well done when it comes to the, so the people who worked for Gears for Breakfast, good job to you. I'm just giving you a round of applause. You guys certainly fucking nailed it in the park, and there is one more DLC coming soon, so the only downside to the game, I will say, is something I'll bring up in September, so I'll hold that off for now. There's nothing really much I would say about the Hat in Time that wasn't said in the previous podcasts, or what I mentioned. I think the only thing I'll mention here for the Hat in Time is the fact that most of it was fine for the most part. I think it was, I'm trying to recall which was it. No, I can't even think about anything bad. I was trying to think of anything bad. Alright, so next we move on to number 8, which is the Sonic Forces plus Mania, but namely Forces. That game was awful because it was so meh and bland. Not to mention that I'm not looking forward to next year because we have Sonic Team Racing coming soon, so that's fucking fantastic. And then we got the Sonic movie coming out. Have anyone seen that yet? Oh god, does it look awful. It looks like nightmare fuel. Actually, and there's other stuff too. I mean, I saw somebody did there's an artist online right now on pixel art called Lumpy Pixels or Lumpy, I forgot. I have to fucking type his name out now. I'm gonna have to find it. Lumpy Touch. That's his name. If you go onto YouTube and type in Lumpy Touch, this guy is fucking really well done when it comes to his graphics. I think you might not know who he is. All I will say is simply that he's the guy who basically made the horror Garfield GBA game, or the pixel of such thing. So if you want to, yeah, the Sonic legs though. I love the fact that they braced the meme where it's just like, hey, can a guy get a workout every now and then? And he just shows that, and I'm just like, oh, fuck off. They did that on purpose. Also, Alan, the Al Go of content there. Just holy shit. Also, for some reason, Jack is telling me that he's got a 3D pen. So congrats. I'm glad that you got a 3D pen. Now you're going to have to do stuff with it. I think I saw somebody try to do a 3D pen. It wasn't as extreme as what I thought. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Sonic Forces. The only good thing that came out of that was the I Am Not Weak meme and the birth of Gale the Jailbird, which is the OC I ended up making for this game. And I think the only reason I kind of actually love her character was just that one moment where the game fucking glitched and had a clipping scene going on. That was hilarious. That was one of those unexpected moments that was just perfect. What followed after that was that it was on March 8th when the when our first kind of look at Nintendo's Nintendo's E3 thing, not E3, Nintendo's Direct ended up happening. And when that was going on, that was one of the first things that I ended up doing something called the DLC podcast, which is this, or the Doing Live commentary. The idea of it is that basically this would be like a podcast of sorts where you'll be listening in, but during streams it's me talking and interacting with you guys. So it's more or less a listen on the go, nothing really to see on video kind of deal. And I guess the name kind of was there. I didn't really do a whole lot this year when it comes to this. I only had like this is like episode 6, so I guess it's better than nothing, but I know a lot of people just keep on doing it every week. But for me, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for it. What I did before with the format of thinking past, present, future kind of deal, I don't think I'm going to do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing it like anytime I want to do a rant or talk about a certain topic, that's when I'll do this podcast. So there is one moment in particular that I want to do a podcast for example, just talking about a certain company that I think people might want to hear about and my grievances with them, as well as some old like memories back on certain things, like an old online game I used to play when I was a kid. So that would be something interesting to kind of do in the future. So I'll be writing stuff down on ideas of what I want to do for that. Then in March, I did something. I wanted to play a game, and I ended up regretting it because this game was as awful as so we went from being a bad game like Sonic Forces to another mediocre game, which was Super Lucky's Tale. Not to say that Super Lucky's Tale was a bad game. It was just a bad game to stream. There was rarely any content. There was only like a handful. The only good thing that came out of that was the glitch. And that was just out of nowhere. And it was funny because when that was going on, and that ended up becoming the highlight of the beginning of the number 2 spot. It wasn't number 2, mind you. But when this happened, this was by far one of the weirdest games I played. And when I got to like number 2, like after the first part, I ended up saying, fuck it, I'll just stream it by myself. Miserable, trying to beat this thing while trying to commentate, which was the worst thing I ever did. To the point where around number 3, I just said, fuck it, I'm not going to even talk anymore. I'm just going to talk whenever I need to, and then that's it. So then after the boss ended up happening, that whole situation happened, which was... It was weird to say that was perfect timing in the sense of comedic purpose, and that wasn't intentional. That was just all like a luck, basically, when this whole thing happened, which was just perfect, which was the only thing that came out of that was good. what kind of came? Oh, I forgot to mention. We did play Overwatch on February for the Lunar event with me, Zeph, and I think Moon. I think his name was. Also, we got to see another character who we have yet to have her be playing again. I think it's her. I don't know. I'm just. It's been a while long. I ended up not uploading it to YouTube because it was just that bad. So that's what I'm talking about. One of the things with this year is that my main goals is that I'm going to be doing that. Like, I'll talk about exactly what were my goals, so I'll let you know that fully. Anyways, back to Lucky's Tale. I ended up looking at the DLC, which was the Gully's Island. That was the only DLC I actually ended up buying, and honestly, I feel like that was a good money well spent because that DLC alone was actually better than the fucking game. Because I think at that point, they improved all the criticism and they ended up making this a lot better. So maybe the next game, whatever these guys do, will be better, but who knows. Follow after that, I ended up doing a look at the game called Blue Omen Operations, which was a Kickstarter game that I ended up which I was backing. And the game has a very Mario and Luigi Superstar-esque moment of that, as well as a little bit of WarioWare kind of deal. So there's that kind of mechanic in there. Then we did doing a live commentary when we were talking about the announcement of Sonic Mania Plus, the troll that was to be the reveal of Spyro Reignited, because that was a thing we wanted to have happen, but that turned out to be later in April. And the death of Toys R Us, which ended up being not really, because Toys R Us up in Canada, as well as I think in the UK, were saved. It might have just been in Canada. I know Canada is still up and running, so that's still alive and well. So it still exists, much like how Blockbuster still exists, despite it just being one store. But there we go. But it did came back. It's now like Jeffrey's Toy Box or something like that, which most people are pissed off now, but I realize why they did that. But still, it was kind of a shitty thing to do. Then in April, nothing happened. Well, Donkey Kong Country, the first two things, as well as Donkey Kong Country 2, Part 1. But I ended up not doing anything else because I don't know why. April seems to be one of those months that was just so bad. And I'm trying to recall. I think it was busyness, but then there was also other problems too. Like, one of the big things that was with me this year was there was some real life problems offline that I was dealing with, and I'm happy to announce that I have found and discovered what this problem was, and I've been basically working on fixing it in the pack of where, non-gaming stuff. And needless to say, hopefully next year coming up, 2019, will be a lot more better because this year was more or less trying to discover because I've been dealing with something in the back for a few years now, and now this year was the realization, the actual answer of what was going on, and now a way to fix it. And as soon as I knew how to fix it, all of a sudden everything just started to work out for the most part. The next thing afterwards, after this whole thing, after April was a failure with the rare Kong tree. Fuck, that's a hard name. That's like a tongue twister. Like Rare Country, like it's spelled with Kong, Kong. But what was funny about this whole game, the Donkey Kong thing, is that this whole thing will be continuing off next year. I think how I'm going to do this now is when it comes to themed months, I am going to do it in the sense of I'm only going to be doing certain handful, and then once they're done kind of deal. It's going to be weird to say the least, but whatever. And then May happened, and I believe during this time there was the Clive and Wrench game I showed off. There is, by the way, next year, in the beginning of next year, I will be showing off that he released a 3.0 to his alpha. So I'll be showing that off because there's a lot more content in there, and probably you can screw around with that because this is a game I'm actually helping again, like another one. I started off looking at Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which is still going to be finishing off sometime next year. That's my plan, anyways. That game's still fun for as bad as it is. There's still fun mechanics in it. It's not a bad game. It's just a bad Banjo game. If that makes sense. After that, I ended up completing and continuing off of Super Mario Odyssey, and I beat the story of it, but I didn't really finish the whole game per se. But that's neither here or there. Then I also tried starting Donkey Kong 64 Part 1, and that game will be finishing off next year for sure. I'll be focusing my time. Eventually, I'll be like, okay, this is the game I'm going to be focused on, so that's going to be a long, long time. So that's going to be somewhat enjoyable. After that, number 3 of the Doing Live Commentary came up. This was during the controversial change the channel scandal. For those who don't know, change the channel was just basically, it's a long thing, but anyways, nothing really important there. After that, I played a bit of Banjo-Kazooie again, and then E3 happened, and as we saw in number 5, that was just a nightmare to begin. I didn't really do anything after that though, so that was kind of sad. For my birthday in July, I did a Five Nights at Freddy stream where I did 5 nights of fan games in 3D, or fan name part 2, and then I did a failed attempt of building fucking toys, and then played a bit of Ultimate Custom Night. So I now know that game is not for me, so that's great. Then finally we got to play the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, which was fun. Then went on to breaking my arm, so that was fantastic. That was a terrible time. Ended up forced myself off of work for 6 weeks, so that wasn't fun. But I ended up playing Sonic Mania, and also played Spiral Year of the Dragon, which had the lovely unfortunateness of the game breaking out so bad. Like, especially the doggo one. That was just like, I don't know what the fuck happened there, but that was like, oh, I was more annoyed when that happened because it's like, I gotta do this shit all over again. But for some reason, the game just broke. So that's why I just love playing stuff like that. Afterwards, I looked at Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning, because I did kickstart the game. I figured that would be fun, and it was, in a sense. That was actually fun as of RNG basis. Then I played a bit of the 3 demos, and honestly, they weren't really the greatest because no one really cared. So I know for next time I'm not going to force myself to play games that I don't feel like it's going to be good content, unless I know for ahead of time it's going to be something entertaining. Then, for a whole month of September, I spent playing Hat in Time. I spent playing mods for the longest bit. Then, I for some reason had number 5, or, I did a pod live commentary on the results of E3, as well as like what I mentioned before, the online feature of Nintendo, which was really shitty. I will say for Nintendo, though, that I am very pleased by the fact that they've finished off and realized that they're trying to milk people out of money on YouTube wasn't working, so they decided to change their tactics, and now it's a lot more better user-friendly wise, so that's good. Speaking of which, then I played the Seal the Deal update, which was actually really fun. It was really short, unfortunately, so that kind of sucked, but I ended up grabbing it for free, so that was great. That was a great deal. That's another reason why I kind of like them. And then we get to what I like to call the failure quarter, where October I spent playing some Halloween games, so a little bit better than last time. I finished Goosebumps, so that's great. Halloween safety videos, that was also somewhat of a failure, but that's neither here or there. Then I played Deltarune, which is going to be a game we're going to be finishing off for next part. So, spoiler alert, that will be the next game we're going to be finishing off on that. And, yeah, then I did the Christmas thing, which was sad because I wanted to do a lot more, but with being sick and all that other bullshit, it just ended up not working for the best. So, with that retrospect in the past, which kind of, in the hindsight, it started off great, and then it kind of fell through near the end. Like, you know, apologies on that, but I hoped this top 10 was a lot to make up for the lack of content. Hopefully next year, this whole thing will be a yearly thing, and it'll actually be much better in hindsight, but, you know, you never know. Right, so I wrote down some New Year's resolution that I'm going to be following through, so here are some things I am going to do. There are 5 things here that I am going to make up to you, the viewers. So, and I'll be explaining everything. So, number 1, I'll be streaming and keeping to a schedule. What I mean by this is I've been always like flip-flopping of what I want to do consistently, but I am going to be trying to force myself into consistency of keeping to a certain schedule and staying by it. So basically doing a routine. This will probably help in the long run. The way it's going to work after the New Year's. So what's going to happen is for the next few days, I'm going to prepare myself for the new position I'm in. Plus getting myself reorganized for some of the videos I have to upload. And by the time that's all said and done, I'll be streaming back again, hopefully on the 7th. I'm not saying I will stream on the 7th, but what I am saying is that by the 7th, I should be ready to go for the new year. I'm planning to go on the 7th, but we all know my whole history of me promising things and them not falling through. But I'm going to keep my ass on this. I'm going to make sure that this is going to be a thing I'm going to keep my ass on. Right. The second thing. I'll be recording LPs and save highlight clips and maintaining editing. So what this basically means is that earlier this year, in around October, you probably saw the lack of content. Part of that is that me being sick, part of that being busy, and the other part was just testing something. If you've seen my other channel on YouTube, there's something called Gal's Gameplay. As of right now, it was just a bunch of mobile games. That will no longer be a thing. The mobile games I'll be only focusing on will probably be that of Goosebumps, because that game is entertaining to say the least, and it's, I don't know, I just find it provocative that no other person does it, so maybe it'll help get some eyeballs on this channel. So I'll be focusing on that, and everything else I won't be focusing on. But the thing with Gal's Gameplay is that it's going to be a unique feature because of the fact that it will be... It's basically going to be how I did my videos back in 2006, the end of 2006 going to 2007, where I recorded it offline and pretended as if I was doing it live. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to do some content on YouTube, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to be doing it as an LP, but I'm going to be cutting the videos out so that it's going to be a lot shorter. So really you're going to get the good stuff, and it's like slight editing like what you saw during the podcast thing. So there's that. The way it's going to work is I'm going to be picking some games I know is going to be really good content, and I know the sacrifice of this is that I won't be showing and streaming it, which sucks, but the main hope of it is that people will end up going and watching it and having some content to look at while not having me stream all day, because I know streaming is like consistent and you have to be here, and if you're not, then it doesn't work. So that's my resolution to that. So the first game I'm going to be doing of this, like I tried doing it this year with Cuphead. I've decided to scrap that idea now, unfortunately, because I'm not into Cuphead. I tried. I mean, I know there's rage, but it was more frustrating and I wasn't getting what I wanted. So what this next game I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be working on is Star Fox Adventures. Yes, that Star Fox Adventure game, the infamous one where it was once Dinosaur Planet and now it turned into a Fox game because Miyamoto said so. And this was like the last straw for Rare before they ended up leaving. Not to say that caused it. There was many other problems, but, that's just funny. That's the last real game that came out of them before they left, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that game will be fun. So how this is going to work is that on Monday and Wednesdays, I'll be streaming around 5 like I usually do, except this time I'll be streaming a lot longer. So because I start at 5-ish, that means I'm going to still be doing it for a longer time period. So looking at by, up until... because late, so I don't have to go to work the next day, so that will be something there. And Tuesdays, I'll be keeping on doing the offline recording stuff, so basically stuff like editing videos that I've done for the YouTube channel, plus other content as it were. The hope of this is basically that when I do streaming on Monday and Wednesday, once I'm done, I'll be doing the editing stuff, uploading it, and then that'll be it. So there's no longer a waiting time period. It's going to be basically good content here on out. That's the hope anyways. The downside with this new scheduling thing is that I will no longer be able to stream Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that means the weekend. So most of my younger audiences, I know who you are. You will most likely will not be able to see me for the most part because you're going to be hoping to do it during a school day, and that's never fun. And the schedule like this is going to be consistent like this until the end of May. Now, to say the least, this is not a definite thing. This is as far as I know right now. This can change within this year in 2019, but as of right now, I'm basically on this schedule. So we're going to see how this works, and hopefully this will be perfect for everything moving forward. Alright, number 3. Stream only what I feel like at the time. So this is what I talked about earlier. So I say I wanted to play Deltarune on the 7th, which is a thing. But this is more talking about games like I'm playing a game, I'm currently liking it, but then I feel like I don't want to play it anymore and move on to something else. That's what this basically means, is that basically I am not going to be forcing myself to play a game and try to complete it 100%. If I like a game, I like it. If I don't, then I move on. I end it. I move on to a new thing. So that's what that is all about. So that's basically that whole shebang of the works. Number 4, do a DLC podcast at least once a month. So this whole podcast thing, I am going to be trying to do that every so often. I have yet to figure out what I want to do per se and how I'm going to fit into the schedule, but stay tuned within the month and I will probably get a good idea of what I want to do moving forward. But basically, I want to do a DLC every so often so that way there's still consistency of me just talking and ranting type of deal. And usually this will probably come in when rants end up coming through, or if I want to talk to certain people and whatnot, there's a certain subject that comes up. Then that's what that's all about. And last but not least, don't worry if it doesn't follow through. So I tend to have a problem when it comes to making promises and they don't get unkept, and then that bugs me. This is just basically for me personally, where it's like when I say I want to do something and it doesn't come through. Basically, this whole end of the year was a good example of that. I made some promises, I wanted to do it, and it didn't come through because of life, basically. So that's all that is. So that's basically the whole gist of it. So with that, I think that's about it for a majority of what I want to talk about when it comes to games as far as a thing goes. But yeah, so I might as well, let me talk about games I have currently up on the board here on what I would like to get done. So far, what I have on the board here that I want to get done for this month. So this will all change. This is not a guarantee, right? This is just what is on the now. So the next time I'm streaming, I'll be finishing off and completing Deltarune because there's a lot more stuff to it and there's a lot more reactions I can go for. Because spoiler, when I did play the game, I knew what was coming up, so I knew what to say. Except for some of the things was a surprise to me, but there were some clips I know ahead of time how I'm gonna make this funny. So there's that. Also, I'll be showing off the Clive and Wrench 3D or 3.0 alpha build because there's some new content in there which I think will be interesting to show off because that's a game that will look like this game looks promising to be one of those next Hat in Time, I think. But we'll see what ends up happening there. The next thing I have will probably be continuing and finishing Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. I will not be 100%ing it. My goal is to beat it to get to Grunty, and then once I get to Grunty, that's it. I'm done. Move on. I'm not going to fucking complete 100%. If that's successful, then I am going to be doing the Spiral Trilogy. Now, either this is going to be me being one of the thirds or me being the whole entire thing. How this is going to work when I do the Spiral Trilogy thing is instead of me going ahead and actually playing this and, just playing it normally like as if nothing happened, what I think is going to be fun is on the bottom corner, I am going to be having my original playthrough of the game I'm playing. So say if it's the first Spiral game, that clip is going to be playing on the bottom screen. And the reason for that is because I'm going to see how I can beat myself in this this playthrough of sorts. So I think I know how I'm going to end up having this go about. So hopefully this ends up working out. It should be fun. Basically, I'm basically going to be racing myself, so this will be interesting to say the least to see how far this will go as far as this whole thing. So that will be interesting. The next game after that one is I'm going to get myself a copy. I'm going to buy this. 2007, I got a shout out by the Meatly, who's known as the guy who made Bendy and the Ink Machine. And since this game finally came out, all 5 chapters finally came out on October, I am going to buy this game and I'm going to be streaming the entire chapters all throughout. Because it was one of those games that was really interesting, and I get to display that quote on the bottom of the screen as a trophy, like fucking egotism at its finest. So that will be a fun game to try to look at. See how well that goes. If it doesn't turn out to be that way, then whatever. But I have a feeling that it is going to be a good game, just because that at the most I will get spooked, and that in itself is good for some good clip reaction. So we'll see what ends up happening there. If that goes well, I will then be taking a look at the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So that will be interesting to see how that does. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be completing everything throughout or if it's going to be a one-time deal, but we'll see. I mean, I hear there's a story mode with it, so I'll take a look in that. I mean, it's not really a story mode. It's weird. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but I have the game, so there's that. And last but not least, then I'll take a look at Donkey Kong 64 and complete that, and that'll be a whole long playthrough of that. So that's my plan as far as streaming goes at mine right now. Again, this can change in the future, so every so month I will be keeping you updated on exactly where I want to be at, and I'm going to be fixing the stream layout at the bottom to basically show off all this stuff and more, so that way like reorganizing, as it were. So the Let's Plays, or the Gals gameplay. As I stated before, what I'm going to be focusing on Tuesday will be Star Fox Adventures, so that will be a fun reaction of sorts. The reason I'm going to say Star Fox Adventures is because I know that game is going to be fun in term of content-wise, but I know that game is going to have some blank spaces, so that's going to be me cutting that stuff off to make it better. So that's that. Excuse me, I'm trying to clear my throat. After that, I'm going to be taking a look at Super Mario Party for the next Let's Play. The reason why I'm doing that is because that game also has some blank spaces, but it's going to be funny content, so I tried playing it by myself, and needless to say, this game is bullshit. Because I was doing just fine, and then it's like, oh, Peach, who's in last place, is gonna win. I'm just like, yeah, right. And then all of a sudden, all the CPUs are like, oh, win, star, take your money, star. And then like, you know what, fuck it. I end up quitting the game. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? We're not gonna finish it. We're not gonna win. I'm just gonna leave. And you know what? I'm in the fucking spite. I ended up changing the party. So I'm like, oh, you go. You're gonna change it with this person. So. Real salty, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out. After that goes well, what I have planned is something called Kale 2. That game is quite interesting to say the least to talk about, and that too also is some interesting stuff, but it also has some weird things. So you'll see what I mean when I play that game. For C, I am going to be playing another Spyro-related game, but it's not really Spyro, and that is Skylanders. Yes, I have collected these fucking figures for a long time. I've been hoarding these collections, and I figured it will be somewhat interesting to go ahead and try to play this out in a what do you call it, in a Let's Play setting to see how that goes. It will also have a small camera on the side to show you the characters at the side, maybe. See how that turns out. And then the last thing for the Let's Plays I have on here is Diddy Kong Racing. That is another game that's interesting. Again, like, as you can see, these games are interesting content and me talking about them. However, there's some blank spaces or spaces that are a little bit boring. So this will basically me cutting them out and putting them into context so that they're edited good quality in a sense. So that's that. I also have down here some games I'm looking forward to playing as of right now. The main goal also, by the way, for this whole board change thing is that I've noticed that I've been spending a lot of time playing like modern games. And, you know, modern games are fun and all, and I know they keep on getting released near the end of the year. But I want to keep it so that I play at least every section at a time, so that there's some sort of level of consistency, but also a bit of flavor. So I'm going to be working a bit on that when it comes to that content. And I guess with that, I'm basically done. There's not much else for me to say. It's already around 7, and I'm about to get a phone call, hopefully, to say that my food that I ordered is done. So I'm going to enjoy that, and that will be it. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this stream of sorts and my rambling and all that, and I hope to see you all in the new year future. And needless to say, I will be looking forward to seeing all of you in 2019, and hopefully 2019 will be thousands of years better than 2018. And hope to God we don't start the year off with another Jake Paul. Because we all like that joke near the end. I was really legit when I say that, you know. But, yeah. We'll go ahead and say it like that. So, again, thank you all for watching. And let me just end this off with the music. If I can find the music, I don't know where the fuck it is. So, you gotta love when that stuff comes into play. But, yeah, okay. So, I guess with that, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time in this podcast. So, yeah, I'm blanking out here. Sorry. Basically, I will come back sometime in the future. In the next year future. God, I'm stuttering already. Alright, I'm going to wrap it up real quick. Sorry. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I'm hoping to come back on the 7th. As of tomorrow, I'll be not streaming for a bit to get myself ready. Then I have the weekend to work on the new shift to see how that works. And then the 7th will be the tester to this whole plan, as it were. And hopefully it works out very well. So, hope you guys enjoyed this year. I'm glad to make some new friends. I'm glad to see some new fans come and go. And all that interesting stuff. So, yeah, that's about it. Have a good night. I'll see you next time. And have a great new year, 2019, baby! Oh, boy!